What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I'm back again, making yet another video. I hope everybody has been doing well and taking care of yourself and taking care of your family. Taking time to get off the internet and have some time to just enjoy the peace and serenity of life. Today, I have my notes here, y'all, so excuse me while I adjust my notes. And I probably will be looking back and forth. I apologize in advance because I wrote down some things and took some notes. But today I am going to be talking about the stages of empty nesting. Now, I think this is extremely important because I feel like the only stage of empty nesting that's often talked about is the physical stage where, the children go off to college or they move out of the parents' household. But I also feel like there is another stage to that. And let me just back up a little bit because I feel like with that also comes emotional detachment from your children, and the bond and all of the things that you used to do also comes when they physically move out. But there is a part of that that could be kind of split up. I feel like sometimes, and with most parents, we experience empty nesting even when our children may be living with us. So I'm just gonna start. Let's face it. I feel like if you're a parent, at some point or another, you have faced different stages and transitions of your life and your children's lives. As they grow up, they become less and less dependent on you for some of their everyday needs, like brushing their teeth, bathing, cleaning their spaces, getting themselves dressed and prepared for whatever they have to be prepared for. And yes, even making some decisions on their own. Then next thing you know, here comes high school, and then boom, we're at graduation already. But what comes after graduation is a slow and often bittersweet release for most parents as we transition our children from our covering to now their own covering. And I believe this is where most of the empty nesting takes place. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, empty nest is defined as empty nesting, or empty nest is defined as a parent whose children have grown up and moved away from home. But I feel like there's a space, as I said before, that there's this space between when your children graduate high school and decide not to actually leave home right away for whatever reason. And nowadays, like back when I was growing up, going away from home, like that was something huge for us. Like we just kind of for our generation, we kind of look forward to moving out of our parents' homes, and we wanted to be grown fast, and sometimes some people didn't have the option to stay at home, like their parents kind of pushed them out the door right after graduation or right when they turned 18 or whatever. Some people got pushed out even before that. But nowadays, it's become the norm for children to stay at home longer with their parents for whatever reason. A lot of it is cost and what's going on. The cost of living may be too much. Sometimes children aren't prepared or feel secure enough to move out on their own like that. So they stay at home longer with their parents. And I want to talk about this because I don't feel like this is something that is often discussed in regards to empty nesting. And I'm going to share a little bit of my story. I have currently, I don't plan on having no more kids. I have now 3 adult sons who are 27, 24, and 21. In all of their sophomore years of high school, I talked to each one of them about what their plans were, like what they wanted to do after they graduated. I told all three of them that they should choose I recommended that they choose a career, something that didn't feel like they would be going to work, like that it didn't feel like a job, or something that they were being forced to do, something that they would really enjoy doing. And we also talked about, I also talked to them about going to get their gen eds at a community college, because the cost of college, everybody knows, is outrageous, and student loan debt is ridiculous. So I didn't want my children to have the same experience as me and have all this student loan debt when they didn't have to, and especially if they didn't really have make a decision, didn't know what their decision was that they wanted to do. So I recommended that they just stay at, go to a community college and complete their gen eds. Well, they did, and so they ended up staying at home with me right after high school. However, even though they were still living with me, there was a shift in my duties as a parent, as a mom. As my children began to come into their own adulthood, there was a shift in the dynamic of our relationship and what was required from me. And as I stated, some of the decisions that I had been making for them, they could now make on their own. And so it was almost like I felt like I wasn't really needed, I guess, per se. And that was like a hard shift for me. It was also like, I guess, the bond with my kids, like, because as they get older, no matter if they live at home with you or not, like, there's just something about it that they wanted to be off on their own. They wanted to be with their friends. They wanted to be more around their friends and more out living their life, even though they were living at home. And so that was drastic. And also it was drastic for me, just a little backstory, because I had all three of my children in my 20s. So basically, they were a huge part of my life and a huge part of my growing up and a huge part of my everyday life and everything I did. Where you saw me, you saw them. Where you saw them, you saw me. And so shifting that was really challenging for me, for whatever it was. Not just emotionally, I think mentally it was mentally it was challenging, because you have to let go, and it's like a hard shift. It was like a hard shift, like you just have to let go and let them do whatever and readjust your life. And if you have been in your kids' lives like that, that is a huge adjustment, to say the least. My oldest son just moved out about 3 months ago, and he's doing great and well, and I'm glad about that. My younger two are still living with me. Let's see. So what I've done, I'm going to give some tips, I guess, about what I've done to kind of help with the adjustment and with the change of the dynamics of me and my son's relationship, especially now that one is gone, and now the other two are, even though they're still here, just the adjustment. So some of the things that I've done, one of the things I've done is just be intentional about getting out of the house more. It doesn't even matter if it's just driving down the street and listening to my favorite music. I will get up, get myself dressed, and just get out the house. Sometimes I go into my favorite shopping places and just walk around. Or again, like I said, just going to the going for a drive and listening to my favorite music, going to the shopping places that I like, sometimes even going to get a bite to eat, or going to the grocery store and fixing me something to eat. So I've really been intentional, and especially since the pandemic, because for me, the pandemic was such a hard thing, and I really sheltered in place for so long. And even after the pandemic, I just, it was hard for me to get back out there and start getting back out there. So this is a part of me that is doing this intentionally. Number two is using the time that I once used for them to focus on my health and well-being. So another thing that I am doing and am going to continue to do and plan to do is my oldest son, where he stayed in the basement. And so I have begun to transition that into my workout spot. So I want to purchase some ropes. I already have a treadmill. I already have a weight bench. I also want to get a bike and a stationary bike. And I want to eventually get like the full body workout. Y'all know where they do all that. We pull the thing that I want that. And then I've also plan on getting someone to help me with the nutrition side of it, helping me to eat better, because that has been a challenge for me, and especially when I used to cook for my children, and I cooked so big and cook things that weren't necessarily healthy, let's just say that. But now that I'm getting older, I need to really focus on that. So that's something that I am doing for me. Number three is I also plan on doing some DIY projects to my home and decluttering and cleaning up some things that I've been holding on to. One of the things is I want to paint one of my bathrooms in my home. It's a small bathroom, the guest bathroom. So I will be working on that this summer and painting that, and just decluttering, getting rid of some clothes and some things that I have seen around the house that I haven't used in years. So I plan on doing that. Number four is just being consistent about doing my YouTube videos. So I started off doing these videos because I wanted to leave a legacy for my sons when I'm no longer here on this earth, that my sons can come to YouTube and see me speaking, and they can hear my voice, so that my voice will live on through my videos, so my son they can see me and hear my voice. So I am trying to be more consistent and about doing the videos on a more consistent basis. I had some things that went on. I lost my mom and my dad and my grandfather in the span of 3 years. So that was a lot for me. So I just took some time off to kind of take care of myself. But now I'm slowly getting back into doing the videos on a consistent basis. And I have tons of topics, y'all. So yes, I'm ready. Number five is reading and just sitting on my deck. Now, back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, I love to read. So just along the way with my children and having them involved in all their sports activities and band and choir and all of the things, and me working and going to school and them going to school, it was just too much. I couldn't focus and sit down and read a book. It was just too much. By the time I got ready to read a book, I was just exhausted. So I really want to get back into reading books, and I've brought so many books, and some that I haven't even opened up a page, and some where I've opened up pages and got halfway through or partway through and didn't complete reading them. So I am going to be intentional about reading a book, possibly every couple months, reading a new book every month, and just sitting on my deck. I've been in my house it'll be 3.5 years, and I really haven't been able to enjoy my deck because I live in an area with a bunch of trees, so there is also a bunch of nature, birds and squirrels and all of the things, and bees and bugs. And I'm not a bug person, but yeah, so I haven't been able to enjoy my deck the way I want to. At first it was the birds, because the birds would, their nest was somewhere near my garage. And every time I would open up my garage door, the birds would fly out and fly onto my deck and fly right at our heads. And then it was the bees and the wasps. It was just a mess, y'all. When I tell you it was a mess, it was a mess. And then it was Secret Squirrel, as I call him, that was coming along. I guess my neighbors had some trees or something that the squirrel liked, and the squirrel would go along the edge of it was a mess. And so I really want to, and am planning to, enjoy my deck this year and in the years to come. And number 6, and last but not least, and I'm sure there are other things that I will do, is just Netflix and rubbing my feet together, y'all. Just taking care of me, just taking time to get back to those things that I enjoy, whether it's Netflix and chill, watching a movie, rubbing my feet together, going to get my nails and feet done. That feels good to me. Or just taking care of me, just going to get my hair done, or doing stuff like that. Those are some of the things that I am doing, have started doing, or am planning to do for me, to adjust this journey of my life. Now, again, I'm sure there are other things that that I'll be doing, and that can be done as well. And I'm sure that there's, based upon your marital status, whether you're single or married, I'm sure that those things could look different for each person. Let's just say that, single or married or not, it can look different for each person. So let me know in the comments about what you're doing to adjust, I will say, to empty nesting, or even if your children are living at home with you, to adjust to them not needing you so much. Let's just say that, because they still need you, but they just don't need you as much. And your newfound freedom, we gonna speak some positivity over that. So just let me know in the comments what you think, and I hope this video helps someone with the empty nesting stage that they're in. And I pray and hope that you guys continue to take care and keep yourself well, and continue to be the best version of yourself that God created you to be. Peace.